What if I told you that what Frédéric Vasseur is about to present in 2026 is not simply a new Ferrari, but the most ambitious and radical project that the Scuderia has attempted in the last 20 years? Are you ready to understand why all teams are on high alert for what will be revealed on January 23rd? What Ferrari is going to present on January 23rd, 2026 is not simply another Formula One car, is not an evolution of the SF25, nor a stylized reinterpretation of past models. SF26, known internally as Project 678, is an act of disruption. It is a direct response to the opportunity offered by the most profound regulation changes of the last decade. And most importantly, it is the product of a team that decided to stop looking back and build something radically new. It's not about optimizing, it's about reinventing. It all starts with the design philosophy. Instead of following the paths established by the dominant 2024 and 2025 models that exploited ground effect, control of flows through Venturi channels and aerodynamics that depended on rigid platforms, Ferrari has designed a car that starts from another logic. The 2026 regulations eliminate much of the reliance on land as a load generator. The cars will be lighter, less stable at high speed, and will force teams to exploit other aerodynamic and mechanical resources. In this scenario, traditional foundations lose validity. And that's where Project 678 comes in. One of the boldest decisions of the SF26 is its suspension architecture. Ferrari has abandoned the pull rod suspension that had been dominant in the ground effect era and has returned with absolute conviction to the push rod system on both the front and rear axles. For many, a step backwards. For Maranello, a door to the future. Because in a world without Venturi channels, the priority is no longer not to disturb the air, but to have total control over the vehicle's mechanics. The pushrod doesn't just offer that, it offers ease of access, speed of adjustment, better integration with hydraulic systems, and crucially, a wider, more flexible setup window over a race weekend. This is not a simple experiment. It is a structural response to the new paradigm imposed by the FIA, active aerodynamics, general load reduction, more electric hybrid engines and circuits increasingly varied in temperature and roughness. The SF26 is not made for a runway. It is made to fit, and that's the new superpower. The heart of Project 678 also beats to the rhythm of the new generation of power units. Starting in 2026, the MGUK kinetic energy recovery system increases from 120 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. This radically transforms the ratio between thermal and electrical power. Ferrari has designed the chassis and cooling of the SF26 from scratch, integrating the hybrid system so that it not only coexists with the car, but also strategically enhances it. The location of the radiators, the shape of the air intakes, the thermal management systems, everything has been rethought for this new context. And not only on a technical level, even the way of driving is going to change. Pilots must learn to distribute electrical energy with surgical precision in an environment where recovery and power delivery becomes the real differential between winning or being out of points. The conceptual thrust of this car also has a very specific signature, Loic Serra. The former Mercedes performance director, signed by Ferrari in October 2024, was one of the most important technical acquisitions in recent years. His obsession with understanding tire behavior, with maximizing mechanical performance beyond aerodynamics, has permeated every inch of the SF26. Serra has been key in implementing a suspension design that allows the temperature, pressure, and wear of the new Pirelli tires to be read in real time, with a precision that no other team seems to have yet achieved. And the 2026 tires will be another determining factor. Narrower, lighter, with less tolerance for poor thermal management. To master them, it takes more than good aerodynamics. You need a car that can adapt to a change in conditions in 5 minutes. A car that transforms without breaking its balance. The SF26, according to internal sources, was conceived not as a fast car in one lap, but as a continuous adaptation tool. But beyond the technique, Project 678 represents a strategic statement. Ferrari is not trying to win the first Grand Prix of 2026. Is trying to dominate the 2026 to 2030 cycle. Because with each rule change, history shows that whoever gets it right first usually sets the tone for years. Mercedes did it in 2014. Red Bull did it in 2022. And now Ferrari wants to be that team in 2026. And to achieve this is not enough to have a competitive car. You have to have a car that others cannot copy. Everything that is known about SF26 is surrounded by secrecy. The assembly date of January 22nd, just 24 hours before the presentation, is no coincidence. It is a play to gain extra days of development in the wind tunnel and CFD simulation, to incorporate the latest knowledge, the latest data, the latest adjustment. Some teams are already wondering if Ferrari will arrive on time for technical homologations. But what in others would be a symptom of disorganization, here is the reflection of a surgical strategy. Deliver the car, later to deliver it better. With more information, more aggressiveness, more potential, the SF26 will not just be a car. It will be the visible result of an entire year of faith, silence, and invisible preparation. And if it delivers on what it promises, it will be the car that forces everyone else to start over. Ferrari's signing of Loic Serra was not simply the hiring of an experienced engineer. It was a declaration of intent, because Loic is not just another paddock technician. For more than a decade, his vision helped cement Mercedes' golden era. He was one of the invisible architects of the most overwhelming dominance of modern Formula One. And now, his arrival at Maranello represents something much deeper than a personnel change. It marks the rebirth of a forgotten philosophy at Ferrari. A way of understanding the car not as a sum of aerodynamic parts, but as a living, mechanical, organic creature that breathes with the tires, that adapts to each curve, that transmits confidence through the steering wheel, and not only through the aerodynamic load. The new generation of Pirelli tires that will debut in 2026 is much more sensitive than the current one. Narrower, lighter, with more unpredictable behavior outside its ideal temperature window. That requires a level of mechanical control that current cars, dominated by the aerodynamic rigidity of ground effect, cannot offer. That's where Loic found the space to reinvent Ferrari. The return to pushrod suspension is not a retro fad. It is a precision tool to control how energy from the asphalt is transferred to the chassis and from there to the tire. A chain of sensitivity that can only be managed if the car is understood as an ecosystem and not as an inverted airplane. But Serra went further, completely redesigned the setup processes during race weekends. Under his command, Ferrari has created a system of quick and modular adjustments which allows the car's behavior to be changed between sessions with unprecedented agility. Instead of relying on a rigid platform optimized for an ideal condition, the SF26 is built as a car capable of mutating. Different suspension stiffnesses, dynamic weight distribution adjustments, variable steering, and braking responses. Each circuit becomes a new laboratory, and each driver has in their hands a tool capable of responding to their style without compromising the integrity of the car. Loic also changed the mentality in the pilot-engineer interaction. For him, the pilot's feeling is as valid as the telemetry data. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, each with radically different styles, have found in Serra a coach who listens more than imposes. And that has strengthened internal communication. Hamilton, in particular, has praised the level of mechanical adaptation of the SF26 in the simulators, calling it the most predictable car he has driven since 2019. And that word predictable in F1 is synonymous with confidence. Because a car that warns before losing grip is a car that allows you to attack the limits with less fear. This whole approach has redefined Ferrari's technical DNA. What was previously a team trapped in aerodynamic maps and the efficiency of Venturi channels is now a team that prioritizes operational performance on the track. An organization that understands that in 2026, when active aerodynamics comes into play and cars lose stability at high speed, those who know how to extract the maximum from the mechanical elements, shock absorbers, suspensions, unsprung masses will be the ones who lead. In a context where rivals continue to bet on digital supremacy, Ferrari has decided to feel the asphalt again, return to the essence of pure engineering. And with Loic Serra at the helm, this rebirth of mechanical philosophy is not nostalgia. Its strategy is the foundation on which a new red dynasty can be built. There is an unwritten rule in Formula One. Teams only worry when another does something they don't understand. And that is exactly what is happening with Ferrari. For months now, the entire paddock has begun to look towards Maranello with a mixture of curiosity, suspicion, and growing concern. What at first seemed like a desperate maneuver to sacrifice all of 2025 to focus on 2026 has begun to take on another dimension. Because the more that is revealed about the SF26, the clearer it becomes that Ferrari is not following any existing references. You are creating a new one, and that uncertainty is dangerous for rivals. Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes all have maintained parallel programs for 2025 and 2026, trying to balance immediate performance with future preparation. But none has shown the same level of strategic radicality as Ferrari. The Scuderia has been operating with unusual secrecy even by F1 standards. Technical staff who normally interacted in the paddock have disappeared from public conversations. Leaks, always present in big teams, have been reduced to unconfirmed rumors. Even sources close to the FIA acknowledge that Ferrari is playing on the edge with the car's development and assembly times. January 23rd, 2026 is not just another date on the calendar. It will be the day we see the SF26 for the first time. But what will really be presented is not a car. It is the result of a silent revolution. The tangible reflection of decisions made when no one else was looking. A machine designed for one thing, to end 18 years of waiting. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.